Hello everyone, welcome back to Kirklees Guitar School. In today's lesson I'm going to teach you how to play Where Is My Mind by the Pixies. Now there's a free tab and PDF that accompanies this lesson that you can download from the first link in the description. Completely for free, don't have to sign up for anything, no emails, no BS. Go and download that because it's got a chord sheet and a 3-page tab which I'm going to take you through for the lesson. It'd be really good if you could print it out and you could sort of follow along at home. I really like this song because it's a great example of... It's a great song that bridges the gap between bar chords and open chords, and it's a good kind of first one to look at if you're just getting into that world. And it's really cool sound, it's something really different. So here are the chords we're going to look at today. So we've got E major, C sharp minor, G sharp, now that's a major chord. You'd expect it to be minor, but it's not, it's major. We've got an A chord. We've got an A minor, and then we've got a B chord up on the 7th fret as well. So there's a lot of E shape and A minor shape bar chords, which we'll break down in due course. So here's the chord progression. So I'm going to start with an E major chord, and I'm going to play. So I'm looking down here, you see. So I'm going to hit the lower end of the chord with 2 downstrokes. Now, if you're catching that G string, it's not the end of the world, but I want you to consciously kind of pick and go for the lower notes of the fretboard. Sorry, the lower strings of the guitar, I should say. Then as we get here, I'm going to do another downstroke, and then I'm going to do a really quick down and an upstroke. Can you see underneath in the sheet music, there's 2 semiquavers connecting those two. So you've got down, 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 up. Down, 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 up. And see how I'm doing a lesser stroke on the first 2 quavers of this bar, and then I open it up for the back end. And you want to get all those lovely overtones from the bottom of the guitar. We're then going to move to a C sharp minor chord, so we're barring the 4th fret, and we're creating an A minor shape. Make sure you go get the PDF. On the back of the PDF, guys, there is a chord sheet that accompanies it with all these chords on that you can take completely for free. So we've got that C sharp minor chord, and we're going to play exactly the same. Down, 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 up. Again, focusing on the lower end of the chord. Glue those together. Now, we're kind of following this grunge kind of theme that we've got going on, and if it's a bit rough around the edges, that kind of adds to the whole kind of vibe of the piece. So don't go for super duper accurate. Let you feel it out as much as you can. Going from that C sharp minor, we're going to go to a G sharp. In a major, we're going to play a major chord. Now, usually in the key of E major, this would be a minor chord. It's not, it's major. Take this entire shape, and I want you to move everything up 1 fret for me. So we're still barring the 4th fret, but now, you know how like at the bottom of the neck, you've got A minor and E major? We're essentially doing that jump, but you're imagining we're making his own capo on the 4th fret. So you've got C sharp minor. I've just noticed that says C minor. I'll go in and repair that and sort that out before the tab goes out. We're then going to go here. We're going to take the whole thing, move it up, and follow the same pattern. So for the first 3 chords of the progression, the strumming pattern stays the same. Do that again. Then we're going to do what I call an elbow transposition. We're going to kick it up a fret to get an A major chord, G sharp and A. If you have a look over here, G sharp and A, I'm looking top right and bottom left. They're exactly the same shape, but the 2 frets apart. The 1 fret apart, sorry. So we're going to move that up. We're here, we're going to semiquavers. Now what that means is 1 E-ander, 2 E-ander. It's very, very fast, okay? We're hitting beat 3 and beat 4 of the bar. All of these notes around this A chord are the same distance apart. And I'm going to do downs and ups throughout. So I'm going to go down, up with that A major chord. And then can you see here it changes? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove that E major sort of shape so that I'm just left with the bar. And I'm just going to play all of those notes. So 2 on, 2 off. I'm then going to put them back on. So you see how that's what the whole thing looks like. 2 on, 2 off, 2 on, and then I'm going to completely let go down here. Again, aiming for the lower end of the strings. It's quite hard to do that slowly. Let's play the whole thing. Pause the video, get that under your fingers. Now that first bit that we've looked at serves as the verse chords. It's aside from the bridge, you're either playing that chord progression or the next bit of lead guitar that I'm going to show you. That chord exercise is an excellent exercise for moving around the fretboard, and a lot of bands kind of similar era to the Pixies, I'm thinking the likes of Nirvana, those guys, stuff like that, use bar chords all in a similar fashion. So if you can play one of these songs like that, it opens up a whole world of other stuff that you can look at. So that's the first rhythm guitar part. We're then going to go into the main riff. So I've just got a pedal on the floor down here. We'll talk about tones in a second. I'm going to stand on that. And we've got this. Again, it's a bit rough around edges, bit messy, but that's kind of the whole vibe. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my middle finger on the 5th fret of the B string, and I'm going to use my index finger on the 4th fret of the high E string, and I'm going to pick in quavers 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and with down, up, down, up. You see here? Look over here. So I've played a full bar of that, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. As I get into the second bar, this shape, I'm going to bar and play both 4th frets. And I'm only going to play 2 whole beats, 4 quavers, 1 and 2 and. I glue those bits together and I'm going to stop here. From there, I'm going to slide into the 5th fret while picking the high E at the same time. And that creates what we call unison. Those two notes, when I slide into that 5, both those notes are an E. I'm only going to slide 1 fret. You don't need to go do what we call a glissando. You don't have to go all the way to the bottom of the neck. 1 fret's enough. And then the aim is to have that high E string ringing out while I play the other 2 notes as a kind of drone. And it creates a bit of tension. Can you hear? You hear that? And you see how I pick the note, I then do a quick down and an up between the 5 and the 4, and I'm using middle finger and index finger. And then I repeat the same action over here, but I'm just not... I don't slide into the second one. Pause the video and get that under your fingers. Moving on in the song, you'll see that the way that I've arranged this PDF that you'll see, the way that I've arranged it is, if I was the only guitar player on the gig, I need to try and cram all of the cool bits into like one master transcription. So I've got a little bit of rhythm, I've got a little bit of lead, and I'm sort of trying to cover as many bases as possible. When I go out as a working guitar player, I'm expected to try and fit all the cool bits in. And that's the way that I've approached this. So we start with the chord progression that I showed you at the very beginning of the clip. We're doing that twice. We then go into the main riff and we're going to play that twice, and then we go into the verse. Now the verse is just the main riff, but there's vocals over the top of it. Then I've sort of dubbed the next bit. Yeah, this is the verse here 3 times. And then we go into the Where Is My Mind. Now, I'd call that a chorus, but it's the same chords it's basically the same part on our, for us, as it was in the beginning of the song. So what I do is, if you're on electric guitar, for the verse bit at the top, I would have a pedal on the floor and be using a little bit of distortion, and then I'd try and turn it off for your chordy part. If you're on acoustic guitar, there's not much you can do about it. Just play along as best you can. Nothing new here, it's just the introduction of vocals. Moving on. We go into this like little bridge section where it goes to an alternate, it sort of builds to this sort of climax. Now I'm going to keep a little bit of distortion on, and I'm just going to mirror the bass note of the the E major, C sharp minor, G sharp, and A. But I'm going to play the lowest note of the chord. So I'm going to go. Each of these notes last for 2 beats apiece. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, then, very, very quietly, we're going to start picking those chords from that progression, minus the C sharp minor, by the way. And we're going to play in quavers. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... Now, can you see how I'm palm muting the first bar and we're only picking a couple of strings, but gradually as we go through these 2 bars, I'm picking more and more notes, and underneath you've got these like crocodile jaws at the bottom. Can you see at the very bottom of this music, there's like 2 lines that separate. Now it's called a crescendo, and what that means is I want you to start off playing that E quite quietly, and as you sort of progress through these 2 bars, you're getting louder and louder and louder, because the next part of this, you've got that big which brings you back into the main riff. So you go from the very beginning, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Which we're going to get onto that C sharp in a second. And can you see how we swap from A major to A minor? Now, if we go back to the chords, so I'm looking bottom left and middle bottom, we're going to take the second finger off that 6th fret of the G string to make that a major chord. Sorry, to swap it between a major chord and a minor chord. So major, take this dude off, minor. Now that sort of reaches a C sharp minor, and we're going to play that for the whole bar. We're going to strum it just the once. 2, 3, 4. I'm then going to take this shape and I'm going to move it up to the 7th fret all the way up here, and I'm going to play. Pay heed to the downs and the ups that they're doing there. I think on both occasions that they do this in the song, they do it ever so slightly differently. They're not thinking in strumming patterns, they're thinking of a rhythm. I want you to just kind of really... Don't be afraid to really dig in there. So what I'd like you to do, take the PDF, and I want you to... that we've just discussed is the last line of the first page and the top line of the second page. I want you to work through those for me, and you've pretty much, apart from the solo, which we're going to break apart in a second, that's all the parts. It's just a formatting thing from here. So what we're going to do, shut this up. We're then going to go into verse 2 at the top of page 2, into the chords, Where Is My Mind, and we're essentially, what we've done thus far, you're going to repeat everything that we've done twice. At the bottom of page 2, you're going to get what's called a solo. Now, it's just a little 3-bar solo, but it's got some cool licks in it. He says, there we go. Now, what's interesting about this is it's very kind of reminiscent of B minor pentatonic, and the band, even though we're sort of loosely in the key of E, it's got a couple of cool cool little bits in it that we can look at. Now I'm sort of thinking. I'm thinking first shape of the B minor pentatonic would probably be a really good place to start for this. I'll let you figure all that out, the theory boffins among us. So I'm going to start by doing a unison bend. I'm bending the 9th fret of the G string, and then I'm going to play the 7th fret of the B at the same time. And I'm going to do that twice. And make sure to get the bend in both times. Then, for a quaver, I'm going to bend just the 9th fret and bring it back down to pitch. Yeah, on the 3rd time, I didn't catch that 7th fret. I'm then going to catch that 9th fret again and walk down the scale. 7th fret of the same string, and then go into the root. Moving into the 2nd bar. We're going to sort of finish that phrase off with a 7 and 9. Now what's really interesting as we get here, I'm going to play the 7th fret of the B string, and I'm going to slide up to fret number 10. Now I've listened to the record a fair bit, and I'm 99.9% sure that's it, because you could go up into the 2nd position that way, but it just sounds to my ear, could be wrong. Tell me in the comments, tell me off in the comments if I'm doing it wrong. We're going to slide up like that, okay? So you slide from 7 to 10, and then you're going to pick it again over here, look, and then catch the 12 with your ring finger. Carry on walking up into that 2nd position, 10th fret, and then you're going to do 3 quick bursts of that 12th fret. And then you're going to do 4 more bursts of that 12th fret, but then instead of picking really fast, you're just going to catch the downbeat on the notes like that. Sorry, it says. Pause the video and get that under your fingers. Following that, you should be on page number 3 now. As you finish the solos at the bottom of page 2, you get onto page 3. We're then going to go into verse 3 and the Where Is My Mind part. Let's see. Yeah, we don't have that slide today. Verse 3, then the chordy bit, Where Is My Mind, and then the build again. You remember how we sort of do chug on those chords. At the very bottom of page 3, you have what I've labelled the ending. Now, there's nothing revolutionary here. You're going to go back to the... but you're going to repeat this top line 6 times. On the 7th time, they cut the song prematurely. Now, what that leads me to believe is they've done it on purpose, but it's just it's great practice, but it's a bit of a pig in the moment to try and get. Can you see how they'll play... I'm looking bottom left here. They play that first bar on the bottom left exactly as it should be. Then we're going to go to the 4th fret where I do the little bar. And he just plays those first 2 notes, and then I put stop in capital letters. Now, I know that the lyrics say stop at the beginning, but I actually want you to play those 2 notes and then mute your strings and let everything die off. Have a quick go at that before we talk about tones. Regarding tones, the research that I've done, there's no kind of official, here's exactly what they used on the recording, but here's from various articles from the producer that made these records, that made the album with the Pixies. They were using a Gibson Les Paul Gold Top and a Gibson ES355 into they had some rented Marshalls, apparently. That's what Reddit says anyway. They had some Marshalls that they borrowed to create the record, but then they had a little, not a PV Bandit, but a similar kind of little PV certain amplifiers with teeny tiny speakers that you crank up give you a certain flavour. Queens of the Stone Age do a lot of that kind of stuff as well. So I'm using, I think it's a Electro Harmonix MIG profile on the Quad Cortex with a, I think it's a Boss OD1 in front of it. So the MIG, just a nice little clean tone, and then the OD1. And I've also got a tube screamer to put in front of it for the, if I want to, but I didn't feel like it was, it sounded as good in the room today. So what did you think of that? Can you think of another song that you'd like me to cover? Let me know in the comments. Remember that you can go to the website and you can get this completely for free along with loads and loads of other lessons. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next week for another guitar lesson. Thank you so much.